PTI needs to review its position on terrorism, on TTP, on Taliban, on Afghanistan's soil being used against Pakistan.
True.
The source of terrorism, we all know, is emanating from Afghanistan. Now, I was personally very disappointed to see the statement from the KP Chief Minister where he said, okay, where are proofs that Afghanistan is being used?
Leaving every
for
one of
terrorism.
us shocked.
Yeah, absolutely. Their position has now gone beyond just opposing operations. TTP is clearly using Afghanistan soil to attack Pakistan. A lot of intelligence-based operations are being done again without the full cooperation of the KP government. We are going through a diplomatic sweet spot, something that we haven't experienced for a very long time. Applauded. Pakistan's role has changed because Afghanistan now is a problem not for them but for us.
For us.
Marka-e-Haq was a defining chapter. It has changed Pakistan's image completely. So many countries are now interested in buying Pakistan's aircraft, military equipment. We are hopefully also becoming an exporter of defense equipment, which can bring a lot of precious foreign exchange for us. Obviously, the credit goes to the entire armed forces, but the leader gets the most credit. So clearly, under Field Marshal Asim Muni's leadership, we were able to defeat a far bigger enemy.
Hello and welcome to Policy Wire. Today we have another important guest, a senior journalist from Pakistan who started first English program discussing current affairs, and it was actually, we think that it was not far ago, but it was actually 2 to 3 decades that he started, setting new trends in Pakistan's journalism in English. I have Mr. Fahd Hussain with me in the studio today. Fahd Hussain, thank you very much for your time.
Good to be here.
I, in my career, had never thought that I'll be calling you Mr. Fahd Hussain because you are my mentor as well. So it's another level of honor discussing all the current affairs in English with you. And
thank you for mentioning the program that I started a long time ago. And you're absolutely right. It was the only English program at that time. And people still remember that.
It was follow-up with Fahd.
Yes, although it's been such a long time. But because it was the only English program in a new industry, a lot of people saw it, and I really enjoyed doing that. So,
and we still have its clippings on YouTube. Whenever we try to develop an accent, we go to all these clips and we try to discuss current affairs. It was too fancy for the generation that we were trying to bring us up simultaneously. Whenever we discuss global realignments, shifts in geopolitics, geoeconomy, everything which is sensitive towards Pakistan's role in the global center stage. How do you see all the things? They're coming together, they're falling apart, or what do you think? And I know you are taking my hint towards the incumbent president of USA as well when I said falling apart.
Yes.
But with Pakistan, his role is entirely different. He is too cozy with Pakistan. So keeping everything in mind right now, what exactly you have to discuss?
So, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, Sumaira. We are going through a diplomatic sweet spot, something that we haven't experienced for a very long time. Everybody wants to claim credit for it, which is fine, because when things are going well, everybody wants to be part of that, part of getting the credit. But you're right that it is one of those points where we are being applauded, not just by our traditional friends, but it is very rare that a country like Pakistan should have equally good relationship with both the main superpowers of our age. So it is a very important time for us. But I think what is even more important is how we leverage this sweet spot.
Exactly.
Because such things happen and they stop happening. So we have to be careful on 2 counts. I think one, how best we can utilize this sweet spot that we have.
True.
And number 2, how to ensure that the advantages that we are accruing as a result of this sweet spot, that we can institutionalize them in some way or the other and have a greater role for ourselves, not just for a short term, but for a longer term.
Fahd Saab, if I recall, Pakistan in last 2 decades probably, despite taking a very active part in war against terrorism, relaying thousands of lives of military and civil people that include kids and women and elderly, and you and I, we are privy to all these developments because when I was working with you, you were my director news that time. We were actually covering the peak of terrorism wave in Pakistan, starting from 2007, 8, and up till 2015. It was very tough for us to get recognition what Pakistan was doing. But in return, Pakistan and its military forces and its people, they were actually getting a lot of blame game, a lot of trash in their name. So you, from that era, now Pakistan is grabbing center stage, not just diplomatically, but economically as well. Pakistan is being invited to all the major discourses. How do you feel about it?
Well, you're absolutely right. We saw that peak in 2007. I think it started after the Shahadat of Benazir Bhutto Sahiba, and then after that, the wave of terrorism in 2008, and of course, you were one of the few people who were actually covering these stories even from that time, and you've continued to do this till today. So all credit to you also. I agree with you that during those years, which were very tough for Pakistan, and we lost so many precious lives, both people in uniform and civilians. But at that time, the world would not acknowledge the kind of difficult times that we were going through. So at that particular time, I think that the way that our war on terrorism was framed differently by those who were there in Afghanistan as occupying forces. Now things are different. It's a different world. These are different times. And I think the geopolitics has changed. And Pakistan's role has changed because Afghanistan now is a problem not for them but for us.
For us.
It has become
Majorly.
a problem for us. Yeah. So I think there's an alignment of interests with countries who were some years ago blaming us for so many other things. Now there's an alignment of interest. And I think added to that, of course, is this crucial role that we have been given or are being given in the Middle East. Yeah. That's a new thing. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, the crushing defeat that we've given India last year. That has completely changed the equation for Pakistan. It has changed Pakistan's perception, not just in terms of a country that has very significant muscle, but also the impact on our defense industry. So I think there's a lot that is happening now. And when we look back at those years that you mentioned, there's been a sea change in terms of Pakistan's fortunes, but at a very heavy cost.
I agree, 100% I agree. And this was totally another chapter that I was going to talk to you about. Operation Bunyan and Marsoos, let me come to it quite earlier than I thought I would go to discuss that chapter. Operation Bunyan and Marsoos and Marka-e-Haq. It is going to be, something in our history, something like after the generation that are going to follow this suit after us. It's going to be something gigantic for them to discuss when it comes to Pakistan's defense line.
Yes.
Had we ever thought about it, that we are this mighty, or it was, something that was, it was there, but we had no idea, or we were underrating it all these years?
I think it was a combination of both. The way, the reality and the perception. Let's talk about the perception first. India had been consistently threatening Pakistan. On a number of occasions, they resorted to actual kinetic action. If you start from the so-called surgical strikes, which were less surgical strikes and perhaps more pinpricks, and then of course the Balakot and the whole thing. So every time that happened, what we saw in India was this chest thumping and their arrogance, and they're looking down upon Pakistan, in a certain condescension that one noticed in their media and in their politicians. And I think Pakistan, even though it held its own in Balakot and we downed their aircraft.
Yeah, despite the fact we downed their aircraft and we captured their pilot.
Exactly.
Still the chest thumping was there.
Exactly. So I think that was an indication that Pakistani Air Force was far superior to what many people thought. So I think Balakot was an indication. But since Balakot, clearly, we worked on our strategy, we worked on our defenses, we worked on our equipment, on our doctrines, and of course the multi-domain operation that we did. So I think May 2025 came as a shock to India, as a very pleasant surprise
Big
to
shock,
us.
yeah.
And it opened the eyes of the world in terms of, Pakistan.
And ours as well, our own people's as well.
Absolutely. I think,
If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think, a lot of people have a low perception of
Exactly.
our country. And there are good reasons for it also. While we're talking about all the good things right now, Sumaira, there are so many
Yeah.
things that are not that good. So clearly, people form certain perceptions about Pakistan, including Pakistanis. But when it comes to defense and warfare, I think May 2024, Marka-e-Haq was a defining chapter. It has changed Pakistan's image completely, and not just in terms of perceptions, but those perceptions are now translating into concrete dividends for Pakistan.
Dividends, yes.
We've all heard about how so many countries are now interested in buying Pakistan's aircraft,
Exactly.
military equipment. So we are becoming not just a net security provider for this region, which was the role that I don't think many people saw us assuming. But we are hopefully also becoming an exporter of defense equipment, which can bring a lot of precious foreign exchange for us.
And how would you find it if I bind this question of Marka-e-Haq and Bunyanul Marsoos with the entire military diplomacy realm of Field Marshal Asim Munir? Before Marka-e-Haq and Bunyanul Marsoos, he was active in conducting his military diplomacy to bring investment and everything related to Pakistan's economy, to uplift it to a certain level. And after this, how do you see the before and after it?
I think what has happened is that as a result of Marka-e-Haq, what we've seen is that, as we were talking about, that now the world and especially the important players in the world are looking at Pakistan in a different way. India is looking at Pakistan in a different way.
Yes.
I think they realize that they've got a hammering. And if you hear a lot of their serious analysts, not the jokers that sit on their TV, we can't take them seriously, but the serious analysts are also now saying that if there were to be another conflict, there are bright chances that India could get receive another crushing defeat. So there are a number of reasons for that, but all of this means that the victory that we achieved in May, obviously the credit goes to the entire armed forces, but the leader gets the most credit. It's a natural thing. So clearly under Field Marshal Asim Munir's leadership, we were able to defeat a far bigger enemy.
And this is why he's a major threat right now being discussed in India.
Well, I mean,
they name him.
Yes.
And actually, I think they've started seeing him in dreams as well. What's happening?
I was listening to one of the analysts, and he was saying that for India it's become even more dangerous because now ever since he's become the Field Marshal and is
Chief of
basically
Defence Forces,
the Chief of Defence Forces. So in that role, decision making becomes faster, more decisive. When one man is heading all strategic and tactical operations in so many ways. So the Indians are now saying that this has become even more of a concern to them, the way that
because he
changes have
has an
happened.
umbrella power right now.
Well, I mean, obviously, when you have a single commander, it does. When you speak to military analysts, people have different opinions, but most agree that when you have a unity of command over all forces, where there's one man who's making decisions, then the nature and scope of leadership also changes. The pace of decision making also changes, and we've seen now that now the kind of modern warfare that is happening, decisions have to be made in seconds. That's how fast things are happening.
Lethal, yes, exactly.
So gone are the days where you could mull over tactics over a 24-hour period and then decide. So it's in this new age. So clearly, unity of command is something that will pay dividends to Pakistan. Based on all of this, based on that victory that we've had, we are seeing our diplomacy achieving more dividends.
Exactly.
You mentioned the Field Marshal playing a very important role in pushing forward Pakistan's, not just Pakistan's military interests, but also other interests. And one example, of course, is the fact that the US president invited him over for lunch.
And that
in the
lunch
White
is
House.
still being discussed.
It is because it was
because
such
there was no press release. So the Indian side specifically, they are trying to locate something.
what happened and what did they say. So clearly,
So all they got was what exactly they had for the lunch.
that's true.
Except for the menu.
They know the menu, nothing else.
Yeah.
And of course, most people also, are basically just putting two and two together to try and find out what happened. But what we do know is that as a result of that, the relationship between Pakistan and the US is getting better and better. Things are on the upswing. These are all, I think, fruits of that major event that we talked about. But let me just quickly add one more point.
Yeah, sure.
These are dangerous times. We are seeing the world order change.
Oh, it's true.
Everybody has to look after their own interest. We've all seen what's happening between Europe and the US.
Yeah.
Over Greenland. We've seen people, leaders like the Canadian Prime Minister making very important speeches in Davos. And all of them are agreeing that in this world where the rules-based order has collapsed, countries have to look after themselves. You can't depend on other people to secure your
interests.
safety.
Exactly.
And in that way, I think Pakistan, alhamdulillah, is now placed well. And that's a point of satisfaction for all of us.
Fahd, there is another thing. The point you ended upon, I would try to reignite it. Bloc politics. Pakistan's first national security policy, you remember, first 50 pages. And there was a very, overwhelmingly written paragraph which was separate. I think Moeed Yusuf inaugurated and revealed those 50 pages first. There was a paragraph that Pakistan would not become part of any bloc politics. Pakistan would try to keep up with all the powers of the region, global powers, key players in the region. How do we get this message of our own national security policy? Though we are seeing a very successful implementation, Pakistan is good with Russia, Pakistan is good with America, Pakistan is obviously iron brothers with China. There is no comparison to China when it comes to Pakistan's, specific military mind, if I talk about. How do you see Pakistan is coping well with all the regional and global powers, or still we need to dig in something deeper to get the great game?
Well, I think we are very well placed. There's no doubt about that. In terms of bloc politics, clearly the world is now divided into two camps: the American camp and the Chinese camp, or Chinese/Russia camp. And middle powers like Pakistan have to now, in this new changed environment, have to make sure that their interests are very well protected. And one of the most, I would say, consequential things of, or the most important things in terms of protecting our interests is to make sure that we somehow are able to leverage both camps.
Exactly.
Pakistan is now in that very good position, where China, of course, our long-standing relationship, that's very much there. But at the same time, Pakistan is also enjoying excellent relationship with the US. So we have a leg each in both camps. That's, when Pakistan used to say sometimes back that, we want to maintain good relationship with both the superpowers, a lot of people would say that, that's an impossible task. In that situation, how can a country like Pakistan have good relations with both sides, with both rivals? And that did seem a bit difficult, but the way things have changed, the way Pakistan has been able to register on Donald Trump's radar after defeating India, these calculations were very difficult to make a couple of years back, but they've happened.
Exactly.
They've happened. So now, currently, as you said, that Pakistan shouldn't be or would not want to be part of any bloc politics. We are not actually at this stage. Now, Can this last? I don't know. It's a difficult thing. It depends on how.
It's a gamble.
So far, we know that with China, our relationship is not going to get fractured. That we know. So now we have to somehow sustain our relationship with Donald Trump, with the US, and if we can manage that, or if we can manage that for as long as possible, I think we'll be able to accrue a lot of dividends. So yes, we are not part of any bloc, except that I think our closeness with Saudi Arabia, with Turkey, with Qatar, this has, I think, made us a very important player in the Middle East politics, and that's the flashpoint right now, the Middle East. And I think where it's an opportunity, but it's also a huge challenge, and we have to be very, very careful because the fault lines in the Middle East are very deep.
Exactly.
And even new fault lines are opening up. So we have to be very, very careful.
We need to bust another propaganda around it. We are seeing and hearing people in the debates and the discourses that Pakistan signing up to this Board of Peace is actually signing up for becoming part of International Stabilization Force as well. And you and I know that these are two separate things. The International Stabilization Force is altogether a different thing, and we did not actually sign up for that. And if we sign up, I'm quoting the statement of Pakistan's Foreign Office, that International Stabilization Force decision would be made in accordance with the wish and whim of Pakistan's people. So it would be representing the general sentiment of Pakistani people.
The people of Pakistan must be told in no uncertain terms that there is no way that Pakistan will join any effort in which forces are being forced to disarm or any other Palestinian faction. Once that option is out, then as member of the Board of Peace, then we are now locked into a diplomatic role. And that is still less riskier. But as I said earlier, one should not discount the risk. One should be very clear-headed.
We should be treading very carefully.
Yes, absolutely.
So now coming to discussions on Pakistan, internal matters. Pakistan is facing another immense challenge with one of the Western neighbors, Afghanistan. And why we are facing this challenge? We are facing it actually for many, many decades. We can stretch up to like last 6 decades if we talk about normal differences. But this time there is a difference because of a banned outfit in Pakistan, not just Pakistan, but internationally banned outfit. I'm talking about TTP, which is now known as Fitna al-Khawarij in Pakistan. We are seeing Afghanistan's role. Despite all the verbal agreements, they are not ready to give us in writing agreement. And I actually, in my personal opinion, that in writing agreement would not do so well.
Correct.
Because they went into a written agreement with America in Doha Accord and they did not respect that afterwards. So actually, another written in writing agreement is not going to work for Pakistan as well. But the situation is they are not ready to give that in writing agreement to us, despite all the assurances. And the other key element is being played from inside Pakistan, and it is the political element. They are very clearly saying, koi operation nahi hone denge hum Khyber Pakhtunkhwa mein. So this thing, when picked up by Western media and Indian media in specific, that gives another sort of color paint to the entire thing. And it goes on and on like Pakistan's internal rift. How do you rate that?
I think the internal rift that you're referring to is very harmful for our efforts against terrorism. That much is clear. So far, whatever is happening in terms of CT operation is being done despite the opposition of the KP government. Even in terms of our how Afghanistan started cross-border firing a couple of months ago, and then we had to respond. All of that was done without involving the KP government. A lot of intelligence-based operations are being done again without the full cooperation of the KP government. So that's a very sad state of affairs because ultimately the source of terrorism we all know is emanating from Afghanistan. Now, I was personally very disappointed to see the statement from the KP Chief Minister where he said, okay, where are proofs that Afghanistan is being used?
Leaving every
for
one of us
terrorism.
shocked.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a very irresponsible statement. Now, the problem, Sumaira, is that, this whole issue of divergence on terrorism between the government and the KP government or PTI is now linked with PTI's internal politics. And that's a very unfortunate development because the party has taken a position against operations. Their position has now gone beyond just opposing operations. They continue to, in a way, not directly but indirectly, become apologists for TTP. And that's very, very dangerous and unfortunate.
Seems sort of campaigning from their side.
It is. And this is not the first time that they're doing it because, over the last so many years, perhaps even a decade, more than a decade, PTI's leadership has been approaching this problem from a completely, from a position where they appear to be appeasing the terrorists more than they should be going after them. I think because of this, two things can happen. Number one, the government or the establishment can decide that they're going to go ahead and do whatever needs to be done without asking KP for any cooperation.
That and if they can, done.
If the level of terrorism remains, it does,
it has already,
manageable.
It has already become a menace.
Yes, it has, and that's my point. If it remains contained, then perhaps the provincial government and KP can be bypassed. But because of this, this very large border, of KP and Afghanistan, the problem is rooted there, and therefore, ultimately, if the PTI leadership digs in its heels and they refuse absolutely to help out, then I see the chances of some radical step becoming a little bit more bright. When I say radical step, I mean governor's rule.
Governor's rule, exactly.
The only reason I see it happening
radical but constitutional.
It is constitutional. Of course, it's going to be a very difficult decision because that will open up another front.
Another Pandora box.
And no one wants that. I don't think it should happen. But again, then the PTI should also, understand that when it comes to terrorism, there is no way that they can have their own separate policy and completely oppose all counter-terrorism operations at a time when terrorists are clearly using, TTP is clearly using Afghanistan soil to attack Pakistan, A, and B, the growing role of India in Afghanistan and in helping out, proxies like TTP. So it's a national security issue, and we all hope that, when it comes to national security issues, all political parties need to put aside their differences and agree on this.
And my last question from you would be, it makes them two of them? Like India is also helping the proxies in Afghanistan and TTP and KP government and overall, excluding a few names, like Barrister Gohar I've never seen him uttering such things. And there are a few more sensible people. It makes them two of them, India and PTI.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't equate them that way. India is obviously using TTP and the Taliban and BLA as their proxies to attack Pakistan. PTI is not using proxies and PTI is not attacking Pakistan that way, but PTI is not taking the kind of clear-headed position that it should. So I would not equate India and PTI. I think that's not right. But I would certainly say that PTI needs to review its position on terrorism, on TTP, on Taliban, on Afghanistan's soil being used against Pakistan.
True.
And they really need to agree on this basic minimum agenda that we need to get rid of terrorism from our soil. Beyond that, they can have as different a position as they want on anything else, but on terrorism,
That
I
needs to be
genuinely and sincerely hope that PTI will review its position and join the government in fighting against terror.
Thank you very much. Senior journalist Fahd Hussain was with us in Policy Wire today. In the days to come, we'll be bringing more senior journalists and more important figures to discuss Pakistan's internal and Pakistan's external, not only challenges, but accomplishments as well. Bye from Policy Wire. This is all for now, and we'll meet you again.